Brilliance Audio presents The Price of Temptation by Harmony Williams, performed by Mary Jane Wells. It is a truth universally acknowledged that when a married man crosses his wife, it is expected of her to sell every precious item he ever bequeathed her. However, this keepsake was different. Lily Bancroft stared at the intricately etched ring on her left finger, poised above the black velvet backdrop of the jeweller's display. If she caught the owner's attention, he would give her £30 for the ring, if not more. It was, in her estimation, a masterpiece. Artfully wrought vines climbed the gold band that glinted in the sunlight, streaming through the lone window of the Bond Street shop. The vines opened into delicate curved petals, with a deep, clear sapphire in the centre. In the past 4 years, Lily hadn't removed the ring once. Not due to sentimentality over her capricious husband. No, he and his gifts meant less to her than Prinny's ablutions. But the ring represented more than the naive flight of fancy that had led her so far down the path to perdition that she'd stumbled to the altar with an unsuitable man. The ring had been sold to her husband by her father. It had been one of the last creations Papa had ever made. She couldn't part with it, not even to feed my sisters. Papa would have wanted that. If Papa had gotten what he'd wanted, she wouldn't have to deal with so much confounded resistance to her attempts to step into his shoes. He'd had no sons. Therefore, when his health had started failing a month after her wedding, he'd trained her in the art of crafting jewellery. But without a man at her back, even with the dubious respectability of her married state, the shop was failing. Her gaze drifted to the Bond Street wares. The delicate chains attached to pendants might have fooled the vapid lords and ladies who frequented the shop, but Lily's trained eye noticed every imperfection in the cut of the jewels and the fragile chainwork. How lowering to contemplate selling a work of art to a mountebank! But if she didn't, she and her sisters were in danger. More creditors haunted their doorstep every day, and Lily alone was no longer enough to assuage them. If Mamma had been in the proper mind to handle this, no ifs. Lily stopped herself from contemplating what could have been. Her mistake had cost her family everything. Because she'd married the wrong man, their lives had careened out of control. The once lofty Bancroft family, mingling with the upper crust of society due to the wealth and affluence of Papa's shop, now relied solely on Lily for sustenance, and the only thing she had left to buy them a little more time was Papa's ring. The ring Papa had given to a man who'd wanted to marry his daughter. Lily had once flattered herself into believing she knew every facet of Adam Darling, including his long lists of misdeeds as a confidence man. She'd fallen in love with him anyway. He'd taken everything, including her innocence. She was no saint, but she had been a naive clodpole who had danced on air at the sight of one of his smiles. Not any more, she mumbled under her breath. The ring was a reminder of the dolt she'd been. She should have cast it off 4 years ago, when she'd woken in the Bristol hotel room to find her husband of a week gone without a word. But she hadn't. Her gaze drifted to the display once more, as memories drifted like snowflakes through her mind. Their courtship, his entreaty for her help with jewels, while he swindled one last target, the way he always had a kind word and a small pouch of coins for the injured veterans turned vagabonds on the streets of London. Everything. All the memories of what had led to her downfall. But he'd given as well as taken. Thanks to him, she had the knowledge and the skill to steal from anyone she pleased, if she deigned to sink to his level. Think of Willa and Sophie. She had 2 sisters to feed, not to mention a mother nearly catatonic with the grief of Papa's unforeseen passing 3 years prior. With careful planning, she could snatch every last gem in this shop. But she was nothing like Adam. A breeze stirred the stray hairs on the nape of her neck. For a moment, the bustle of the clotted London streets swelled before the shop door closed again. Lily glanced sidelong at the shop proprietor. "Greet your customer, so I may forget I was ever in here." Better she spare herself the humiliation.